directly has on us. That's what I think we see as a generational issue. But everyone needs Jesus, amen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow, so we're all involved here.
Yes.
It's all about generations. It's all of us, all ages. And for me, I look around and just see how much the world needs Jesus. And I don't think it's changed since Jesus left us. We still need Jesus, amen?
Amen.
And I thought of, in England, and we always talk about the rat race, and I kind of thought, how did it begin? Who was the guy, I would say slightly lazy, that said to another guy next to him, said, listen, if you do that, I'll give you this. And the guy said, okay, I like chocolate. I didn't have chocolate in those days. Maybe it was a pig. I like pigs. So he then said, okay, fine, I'll do this and you give me that. And then he did that. And then all of a sudden, this caught on, became fashionable. Everyone started telling everyone else, well, if you do that and then you do this for me, and I'll give you that. It's basically work, isn't it? That's how it all started. And then obviously there's slaves and all the rest of it. This is just a random thought train. But somewhat what it gives us, you do that and I'll give you this. It gives us a principle. Give and a take. I must do this and you must do that. And if you don't do that, then you won't get this. And for me, I see, you see how these principles can affect us. Because in this day and age, in almost the 22nd century, you see how it still drives society.
Yeah.
It still completely controls society. It controls us. Your workplaces, where we work, where you socialize, where you shop, it's completely determined by that same fundamental principle that we have. If you do this, you're going to get that. You go into the shop, it's unlikely they'll say, give me your old shoes and I'll give you new shoes. I haven't had that before. However, I have been into a shop and seen an old pair of shoes on the rack and thought, that guy's, he's missed something here. He's missed the principle here. He's not given something. Anyway, but the way we, for us as Christians, that it affects us. It affects everything around us. It shouldn't affect us, but it affects everything around us. And when it infiltrates the church, when it infiltrates our hearts, you realize that it actually controls a lot of us.
Yeah.
It controls a lot of areas of my life. It possibly can control my finances. As Aloma shared, it can control this. And what it does is the world brings this challenge to us. It brings a challenge to us, and it sets the bar. And it says that this is how society is. And if you want to be a part of that, what is it called when you have the low, medium, and the classes? When you want to be a part of this class in society, you need to have this, and this.
Yeah.
And this is how you need to be, and this is how education and all the rest of it. But this is what the world brings to us. It brings this bar, it sets this level, and says if you want to be like that, then you need to do this. Full stop. And we find ourselves committing to certain things in our lives. You might overstretch in your work, you give your life to work, so we can be like this. That's what the world determines. But yet, we have to do why? We have to do it. We have to do this. I should stop using this and that. You're going to call me Simon just now. But you see how this takes control of us. It starts to dictate us as Christians on where and what we need to do. That's obviously according to how we see ourselves and where we see society and where we would like to fit in. It's amazing that. If we didn't see that at all, we would be content with what we had. And you see, this is how it infiltrates wherever we go. It might be schools, it might be definitely at schools, it's going to be at work, it's going to be at home or university or wherever it is. The society exists. And we say to the Lord, Lord, how can we go and reach this world when we ourselves are so caught up in it? We are so entangled in it. And, to try and preach to people that, for example, on finances, that are completely bound by finances. When I'm myself caught up in finances, caught up in debt, and what life can we bring? And you see how this really affects the church. It really, really affects us. Because what we would love to say to people, and would have this heart to reach people, it's completely, what's the word? Action. Isn't it? To action. What is it? It's corrupt. somewhere it infiltrates and it starts to corrupt the heart. And you might have pure water, but now it's got some clay in it, it's got some silt in it. It's not clean anymore. And when you realize what this does to society, and hindsight, you can look back, and I can look back from when I was at school and growing up with people, and you see what's happened to people's lives. Some amazing things, and some horrific things. And David Wilkerson's book, The Cross and the Switchblade, he talks about how he had on his heart to go into minister to gangs, and how when he got involved with the gangs, he realized how this was a complete replacement of Christ, because the kids came from broken homes, the family unit was shattered, and these kids came and they felt accepted, they felt authority. Obviously, there was a leader in the gang, and they did stuff, and they felt that they had a place in society, and they created that place, and they were a part of something, and they were loved for who they were, for what they did and how they were. But it's a complete little ecosystem in itself. And everyone looked at the gang thinking, oh, it's the gang, it's the gang, it's the gang. But when you hear Nicky Cruz and the guys that came out of that, they said, no. It's because I didn't have a father. This is my childhood. And I finally found people that accepted me for who I was. And obviously they expressed themselves in violence and whatever they did, but they did that for the group, for the family, as they called it. And what it creates is it creates this trust. And you'll never break the trust. And when it is broken, you're completely severed. And you're thrown outside. You're disowned. And when you see how this in society, it's not just in the big gangs that we have in whatever, in America and in London. But that's society. That's a clique. That's a social club. That's possibly what you and I are a part of. We go to work, and these little ecosystems, they exist there. And online and on Facebook, and when you look at the young people today, how involved, all the old people are going to say, boy, these Facebook things, they take over people's lives. That's just a generational thing. And you see how they adapt this vehicle to be who they are, and to find acceptance, and to live their lives through this virtual world. When you try and speak to one of them face to face, they're a bit lost for words. They kind of want to introduce you to their profile. Here's my profile picture, and this is all about me, and here are my friends, I've got friends, and here are my groups and my clubs. But this is the generational thing. I mean, obviously, I'm part of that. But this is what they're living their lives through these days. It's a virtual world. And you hear these horrific things, kids going online and they're getting involved in games. And they play this, it's like just a car game, Mom. It's just an army game, Mom. And then kids, they get involved, they meet up, and crazy things happen. And then you think, where's the kid? It's the same thing as a gang. You would never think it's the same as a gang. But the thing behind it, it consumes that kid. He lives his life through that. And you think, but it's just a computer game. Yes. But he gets to socialize, he gets to integrate through that, and this is where we open up. Again, it all comes back to that family unit being shattered. Why is that kid spending so much time on the computer? Why is he completely behind closed doors? He's a kid. What does he know for himself? What good does he know? And you see how these things infiltrate, and it's crazy, because this is the society that we live in, brothers and sisters. And somewhere for us, we want to go out, as Clara said, we want to go out and to reach people. We want to be, to reach the lost. That's our first commission. But when it so heavily affects me and my household at home, us at church, it so affects us. Somewhere, someone has to take that stand. Somewhere, someone has to say, Lord, I will be in this world, but I will not be of the world. And I will be prepared to go against that flow. And at school, I remember very, very vividly, these t-shirts came out, and you have these sharks and all these crazy fish swimming one way and this little guppy swimming the other way. And then all of a sudden it became this craze that you had to have the t-shirt. And then all of a sudden this t-shirt represented going against the flow, but you had to go with the flow to get the t-shirt. You see what I'm saying? All of a sudden this whole movement against the world created its own movement. I mean, this is it. This is it. And if we're not careful, if we don't live our lives when the Lord has access to our hearts, we just get caught up in whatever's going. And, you know, I won't go there. We get into politics, no one likes politics. But you get involved in things you can't even do anything about.
Yeah.
What can we do about politics, brothers and sisters? We can have our say. What can we do?
Exactly.
But I just see how old Dave Wilkerson, he got involved in these gangs, and he thought, no way. These guys, they need to hear something. They need to hear something. And when this, I can just imagine him, and this pastor came and he introduced himself to these guys. I mean, what is he? When he told people about what he's doing, I mean, what is the guy doing? But somewhere, when you see with what the word tells us, it tells us that it's going to be foolishness to this world. Foolishness to the wise people in this world. It's going to be craziness. And somewhere that's for us Christians, that's who we're called to be. You know, when I go through situations, I'm thinking, Lord, but I can never just be part of the group, you know. I can never just be part of things at work. I am always the different guy. Why? And it's clear, he makes it so clear in the Bible where he said, but look, if they hate you, just remember something. They despise me first. And if they hate me, they will hate you. What you carry in your heart. And so what does it do for us, brothers and sisters? It creates a lovely pond. We can swim around it. We can live our lives. We can choose to somehow try and make a difference in our lives. Or we can just go with the flow. And for me, what I feel in this world is, what I feel today and what the Lord is doing, somewhere, the hardest thing, it's virtually impossible for a man to try and change someone's heart. It is impossible. It's impossible to try and motivate someone, to try and get them to do something for the Lord. I can talk about a horrific story. We can get emotional. I can have access to your emotions. We can cry together today. Boo-hoo, we can cry. We have access to emotion. But we do not have access to the man's heart. That thing that makes him want to get up every day and do what he does. That man has no control over. That's completely, the Lord has access to that.
Exactly.
Now on the other side of that, no one can ever squash what someone feels in their heart. We can never keep that in. Doesn't matter what you say on the outside, it's all superficial, it's all on the outside. You can never be able to put someone down. And the examples we have in the Bible with these apostles, you could do anything to them. They tried to beat them and they tried to kill them and they did all these crazy things, they tied them up, they put them in prison. They thought that was a great solution. Until they evangelized the whole prison. Man, what are they going to do now? And then, but you couldn't put them down. They were so full of the life of Christ. Everyone had to know about it. And you'd think going to prison would be horrific. No, glory to Jesus. That's just another opportunity for us. Furthermore, they can't run anywhere. Can they do? God, please. It was me, I did it. Get me out of here. But you see the effect of man's heart and the effect that it has on people around us. And for me, it brings that magnifying glass and says, but where are you? What's in your heart? What's in your heart? You know, we can get so involved in these things in society. We can get so involved of stuff around us. We're there. We're in the world. We're part of it. We see crazy things all day. We hear things. That's how it is today. That's how it is. But somewhere we have to discern in what we allow ourselves to be let in for. Rephrase that. We must determine with how we want our hearts and our lives to be affected by that.
That's it.
Because I can allow myself to be completely consumed.
It's true.
I can allow myself to be completely consumed in that. And then I lose my own identity in Christ. I've taken on some of it. There's that phrase. Birds of a feather flock together. I tell you, I never want my feathers to be the same as anyone else in this world. I want to be who Jesus has called me to be.
Yes. Amen.
The only way I can ever do that is access to Jesus. When I look at Christians today, and you know, you'll lead them in salvation. The second thing you'll do is to download the app on their phone that they may have access to the Bible. And then you'll set up a reading plan for them that they may know Christ once a week. And everything revolves around this app. You see how society, again, it dictates. What happened to that hunger? You know, from let's say, generations ago, one of the brothers in the church, he said, you know, when I met Jesus, I couldn't stop. I'll come home from work, I'd have to read my Bible. Every break I got at work, I'd read my Bible. They were in the army. Every moment they had, the Bible was there and they would read. They couldn't stop eating the Word of God. I haven't seen that in my generation.
Yeah, so true.
I haven't seen that with what I've seen. I have never seen that in my generation. I've not been challenged by someone's life because he is so, and that's what the guy said, they ate the Word of God. They spent their time reading that. Reading things that they didn't understand and said, but Lord, it's only you can reveal that to my heart. Open my eyes that I may see what you mean here. I've not met anyone in my generation. I'm hoping you have. But in my time, I haven't. And when I see the next generation, it's all about this virtual world. It's almost Christ is now virtual.
Yeah.
There's no relationship established between me and him. It's virtual. No. You have to go. Did you go through the app for that?
Yeah.
You have to go through the app. No. There's a new edition. You have to update. But this is what our Christian lives can become.
Yeah.
You might not have apps on your phone for Bibles, but it can be the same for you. It can be. You can get involved in your principles. We can get wrapped up in our technique. And this is what Christ is to me. It's a technique. That's not what the life of Christ is.
Exactly.
It's life. It's living word.
Yes.
Every day we live this life around us. We see things. We feel things for people. We see things in our own lives. That's what the reality and the life of Christ is. And when we meet other people, that's what we want to transmit. Not apps and techniques and principles.
Amen.
Step one. Here's what we need to do. Step one, just get rid of everything. Bring your heart to the Lord. That's it. Bring your heart to the Lord and ask him that he fills your heart with life.
Yes.
Because no man can quench that life. No man can oppress you. No man can put that down. That's from Jesus. God has given us that heart that exudes. Is that a word? Oh, it secretes that life. It cannot hold that in a Christian. That's what we want, brothers and sisters. And somewhere the Lord has to do miracles here. He needs to do miracles. He needs to do miracles in our lives. Because we're so full of these things. I tell you, you do something once, you do it twice, you do it 3 times, you've made a technique for your life. God's provided once, God's provided twice. Right? I must do this because it's worked the last 2 times. That's how we are. We're mechanical creatures. Creatures of habit. If I do this and it's worked for me, this will happen. We're back to the beginning. If I do this, I'm going to get that.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work. When you read let's read. Let's read 1 Corinthians. Then you'll know it's not just me babbling on about something here. One Corinthians chapter 1. 1 Corinthians chapter 1, we're going to go to verse 21. For since the wisdom of God, the world through wisdom did not know God, it pleased God through the foolishness of the message preached to save those who believe. For Jews request a sign, and Greeks seek after wisdom, but we preach Christ crucified to the Jews, and a stumbling block, and to the Greek, foolishness. But to those who are called, both Jews and Greeks, Christ, the power of God, and the wisdom of God, became the foolishness of God is wiser than man, and the weakness of God is stronger than man. It completely goes against how this world operates. It just goes, you're swimming down the flow, it goes upstream. It completely boggles the wise. It completely destroys the thinking of the logical, the wise, and the people of principle. That's the way it is. That's the foolishness of the foolishness of Christ. And in some way, brothers and sisters, we need to see ourselves to say, Lord, how far am I willing to go? Am I willing for people to actually call me foolish? To do what I need to do what you put on my heart. And it might be people at work, it might be people in the church, it might be family. Family are quite good at that. They think you know you well. And they always know better for you. That's always the time. But somewhere, how far are we willing to go to allow what the Lord wants to do through us? If Dave Wilkerson had listened, he never would have reached out to those people.
Yeah.
He never ever would have done that. And somewhere what he learned is that it applies to everyone's life. There's no principle.
Yes.
It's that life that we need to live.
Amen.
And as soon as we bring people to Jesus, the first thing we need to show them, and they see, is that, wow, it completely goes against what I would want to do naturally. And then you see Adam and Eve in the Garden of Gethsemane, when they had sinned and they realized, they saw their state, the first thing they did was hide. And they protected themselves. That's what they did. And God is crying out to them and said, where are you? Adam, Eve, where are you? And they were hidden away. And this was the first time they saw their sin. They saw themselves in the natural. And for us as Christians, it's the same response that we can have. When all of a sudden, something happens in our lives, that life, or whatever it is, we hide. We realize that, I'm doing things I shouldn't be doing. The first thing we do is cover up. And a few layers here and there, we camouflage. And then we feel that God is so far from us. We're so well camouflaged. The layers have built up so well. We're so distant from Him. And this is where that love and that life of Christ just comes and it breaks. It exposes completely. It reveals who we are. It reveals exactly where we are. This is it. And it's not a time to run from the Lord, brothers and sisters. You know, I was speaking to someone earlier. And what is it you do when you feel far from the Lord? We all know it. Well, we need to come close to the Lord. But how hard is it when we are actually far from the Lord? It's so hard. But it's so simple. We know what we need to do.
Yeah.
When I've done something, I'm separated from my Father. I need to repent. I need to bring my life back. But it's so hard. These things, we struggle to comprehend that. But if you were to write it down on paper, you know exactly what to do. Furthermore, when you're speaking to someone else, brother, it's so simple. You just need to do this. You need to bring your heart before the Lord and allow Him. You need to repent. But now when it's me, boy oh boy, I can take so long. I can procrastinate. I can love this world that I live in, this camouflaged world. And then we make it our own little ecosystem again. And we find other people. We can join our ecosystems, be friends. We be so superficial Christians. We're just on the emotion, we're just on the top. And that access to our heart is completely covered over. No. That's not what God wants for us, brothers and sisters. He wants us to live life with what He puts in our hearts, the desires that He has put in our lives, the gifts that He's given us. You know what? I love it. When people come and they say, you know what? I've seen something. I've seen this in the church and it's not right. Why? Yes, please. I love it. Because we only each have two eyes. We can only see what we see. And that's why we need the body of Christ.
Yeah.
We need people around us. We need the body of Christ. Because everyone sees different things.
Yeah.
Everyone feels different things. And this is how the Lord brings that protection to His church. And He is able to protect us. But when I live my life now, I want to have my heart exposed to people. Before you. How can you say I'm a value when I'm at dust? That's where I see myself. But there's a guy who understood and he realized how the heart of God works. And that relationship was so important. So for me, brothers and sisters, the examples that